How's it going, guys? I'm your host Caravan Gaming. Welcome back to another very special Adventure Quest video. And the gameplay that you're seeing on screen right now is recorded separately from me talking, so I might not know, which part of the gameplay is at when I'm doing this, whole walkthrough and talking thingy. But Jamo, aka Jada on Discord, actually wanted to see me showcase the new Infernal Champion armor on video against some tougher monsters apart from Combat Practice Trainer. That's why you have me playing against some of the mobs on screen right now. Okay, they aren't particularly tough, but they do have pretty high HP, and that was the reason why I chose these mobs, because I really wanted to see how high I could push the potential of this armor. Not necessarily tough monsters, but just monsters that have a huge HP pool without damage cap for me to have some fun, to see the big numbers roll in. Alright, so I thought today was just going to be like an ordinary showcase video, but just yesterday, in fact it was less than 24 hours ago, EMT, previously IMR, actually dropped a bomb on us, and there was a huge change to the panic status. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the changes, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts on it. Okay, so this was the original forums post in which she posted in. I will not put it up on the screen because I don't want to cover up the gameplay, but I will put a link to the forums post down in the description below, so you guys can go ahead and check it out and read it up on your own. I just finished overhauling the panic status. Previously, panic was supposed to be auto-inflicted on the monster, and the monster can clear it at the beginning of its turn. Now the mob has to fail a save for it to be inflicted, and also the save to clear it happens at the end of the monster's turn. This brings panic in line with other statuses like bleed and choke. Okay, so first up, this change here, the first line of this change, I would say it is actually, I would say it's a good thing, but only for quick cast panic. And to my knowledge, I think the only source of quick cast panic is the Vampire's Snarl skill. I can't remember if there are any other quick cast sources of panic, but for regular panic, basically panic that takes a turn to inflict, there's basically no change in my opinion. People are saying that, yeah, now you will know whether the panic will actually take effect, because previously panic is auto-inflict like she mentioned here, and you will only know if the monster can save, okay, during the monster's turn. Right now, you will know after you inflict the panic straight away whether or not it will be inflicted for one turn minimum. So you just have the knowledge right now rather than it being random RNG. The thing is, there's not much you can do with this knowledge because you have already spent the turn inflicting the panic, so your turn is over anyway. Even if you fail, it doesn't matter. It will still be the same as in the past, because if the monster resisted in the past at the start of its turn, you still fail and you have still spent your turn already. So to me, it doesn't actually change anything. Like, you're just getting the information slightly beforehand, but it doesn't really change anything in terms of practical combat, in my opinion, except for quick cast, because if you fail the quick cast, at least you know that, oh, you won't get the damage reduction, so you can actually use it to do something else. So in that regard, I would say this is actually a slight buff to the skill. Okay, as for it requiring a save, well, the thing is, in the past it auto inflicts and then the monster can save on its turn. Now the monster saves at the end of its turn, but it's not auto inflicted, so they just shifted the save to the back rather than having it in front. Doesn't really make a big deal of difference in my opinion. Okay, and then next up, the next line, I also updated the way panic stacks. Before, I folded two instances together to create a new panic. Now both instances are active at the same time, applying both of their effects and stacking multiplicatively, and the monster makes a save roll for each one to clear. I've also updated the description to give more info on the save. Now, you can see on the screen right now, I am doing the whole showcase here with the new panic because I just recorded the gameplay this morning right after the changes for this went live. So you can see how the new panic stacks up in the gameplay video. Excuse me. This one, on one hand, it's good because now there's a higher chance that the monster won't save on everything. Like, because the monster needs a roll for each individual save, so there's a higher chance of you maintaining at least one source of panic, assuming you're inflicting different sources of panic on the monster. On the other hand, it also makes the stacks of panic weaker because now it's stacking multiplicatively, and on top of that, the duration is also not stacking, and the power is also not really stacking as well as it used to be. So I feel that this just makes panic a weaker version of choke, choke stacks better and lasts longer. So would you want to use this over choke for a defensive status skill? I would say no. There's no reason for me personally to use this over choke as a defensive status skill, but I recognize that, you know, maybe free-to-play players don't have that many sources of choke potence or like choke infliction in the game as compared to like panic. Panic, you have like Seeing Red, you have your Genia, you have some other items here which I've literally never heard of, but okay. So yeah, this one, it's a buff and it's a nerf. Buff in the sense that you are likely to keep at least one stack of panic, assuming you have multiple sources of panic. But at the same time, it's a nerf in the sense that the power and the duration of the panic is not going to be that good. Overall, I think this is a small nerf, okay, to the panic status. Next up, these are the items that were updated. Okay, most old items will basically remain the same. It's just that the item itself makes a save before inflicting. So the items are Cataclysmic Crossbow, Fright Torn Bow, Fey Knight's Arms, Genia's Orb of Power, Seeing Red, Vampire Snarl skill, Lost Talent Guardian, Paladin's Searing Radiance skill, Creature 72 for the Pet and Guest, and Shattered Horizon. For the updated items, these are the items that they changed, that got changed a little bit more, apart from just the panic inside of them. So, Time Slayer X now also scales. Kata of Undeath was on old standards plus double up on the save. New stats are here. Okay, I'm not gonna bother with that. Stone Goblet is now times 0.857 instead of times 0.83. Now inflicts with Charisma Overlock instead of V-Stat Overlock. Now can inflict panic even if the monster's already panicking, and no longer doubles up on the save. I wasn't supposed to anyway, so yay, bug fix. Stone Goblet is still a trash item in my opinion, so Brady just tested it out this morning. He went ahead to do the quest to buy the Stone Goblet, and why I say it's trash is because it only works on fire monsters. If it's not a fire monster, it doesn't inflict panic at all, so yeah, this is garbage. Next up, Grim Scythe, now a 10.9% proc chance. I'm not sure if this is a buff or nerf to the proc chance. I don't know what's the original one like. No longer doubles up on the save, but I wasn't supposed to anyway. Now inflicts with Dexterity Overlock instead of Strength Overlock. That's nice because scythes are usually ranged weapons, so it's good for rangers. Now also scales as a Golden Gift Box item. No longer doubles up on the save. I'm not sure if this is a buff or a nerf, honestly, but I don't use this item and I don't think it's a fantastic item anyway. So yeah, Tenebromancer's Robes, Fell Midnight skill. Okay, action script screaming at how out of date this is. Yeah, this is like literally freaking, like, I don't know, ever since it came out I don't think it ever got touched. So yeah, now gets multiplied by the mob's darkness resist. Now actually has pop-ups for panic infliction because seriously this was horrible to bug test. I don't really think people use that skill anyway. Maybe new players might, but why would you when Sizzler Explosion exists and when you can just imbue with Law and Destruction Burst? But yeah, anyways, next up, Tenebrophage. This weapon just got brought to my attention today. I thought that nobody uses it, and I don't think I'm really wrong in saying that, but after looking at the info subs, I think this is actually a decent item. So updated Mastercraft now gains intellect over 80 to stat damage, similar to the Hexbound Prominence. No, this update is specific to this weapon and doesn't say anything about Vampire, etc. No, in a future engine update, these two weapons will be up to plus stat times 1.5 over AD. That is actually a huge nerf, so I don't know if I am typoed that or I'm understanding this wrongly, okay? And it now has a cap, can eat a total of 200% melee worth of panic per turn. So overall, it's a nerf to the item right now, because the amount of panic you can eat is now capped. Okay, the now gains intellect over 80 to stat damage. I don't know how good that is, honestly, but looking at the overall subs of the item, I think it's decent for hybrid builds. You do gain quite a good amount of intellect and strength boost from this weapon, assuming you can land your hit. So yeah, it's actually a decent weapon for hybrids. Next up, Royal/Regal Void Charge. Now has a cap, can eat a total of 400% melee worth of panic per turn. This is applied after the divided by fire resist, which is kind of an arbitrary decision, and I'm up for changing if needed. I don't know how good or bad this is right now because I think only rangers use this weapon. Maybe warriors might, I'm not entirely sure, but I personally don't use it, so I'm not sure if it's good or bad right now. And last but not least, Fey Wanderer, the thing that I'm most concerned about because it's the #1 thing that I use. Okay, now has a cap. Can eat a total of 80% melee worth of panic per turn, and the eaten panic is applied entirely to healing. Now, what does that mean? So first line, can eat a total of 80% melee worth of panic per turn, which means you can no longer eat up all of the panic, even if you have double celerity, like you guys can see in the gameplay video right now. Fey Wanderer is unable to eat up all of the panic. This means that the boost to the healing and to the damage is not going to be that good. But at the same time, this also means that you can keep some of the defensiveness of panic, even if it is a weaker version of choke, but it does have synergy with Fey Wanderer. So yeah, you still keep some defensive ability because Fey Wanderer can't eat all of the choke. But not to say that Fey Wanderer is super weak right now, because secondly, the Eaten Panic is applied entirely to healing. So right now, Fey Wanderer can no longer nuke. So you can't see a huge few thousand damage numbers for nuking, and instead it all gets channeled into healing. I don't think the healing has changed much. I'm not entirely sure. We haven't gotten a confirmation yet, but from what I'm seeing from the numbers, I don't think the healing has changed at all. But the healing is still incredibly crazy if you pair it with something like the Optical Miscellaneous item, and this is not even including something like the, what do you call it, foam finger buff to it. I don't even know if that buffs it, but yeah, you guys get what I'm saying here. Okay, so the healing is still really crazy, and I think this is actually a good change. And why do I say that is because even though it's a nerf to the pet, obviously, okay, if you're looking at the pet on its own, this is a nerf because all the damage gets taken away from the pet. So instead of both being able to nuke and having a crazy heal, now it only has a crazy heal. It doesn't have the crazy damage anymore. But I think this is a good change because if I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I really don't like to say this, but I do feel that Fey Wanderer is definitely in need of some form of nerfing, and I feel that this is an acceptable nerf. Okay, I'm not one who likes nerfs, obviously, because I feel like they just devalue items. Even for free items, you're devaluing them because people have spent time on them. Even if they didn't spend money, they did spend time to get an item, they did spend time building around said item. So I am not a big fan of nerfs, but this one, it's actually an acceptable nerf for me. And why I say that is because it retained the identity of its item. Okay, Fey Wanderer to a lot of people has two identities. One is a super good water nuking pet. The second one is a super good MP and SP healing pet. There are some people on forums who have preferred to keep the nuke as opposed to keeping the heal. For me personally, I prefer to keep the heal. I felt that that was the identity of Fey Wanderer. Very strong MP and SP heal after consuming Panic. So I'm glad that they, learned from the changes to the Arcane Cutlass and kept the identity of Fey Wanderer. Okay, it's a nerf, but it's an acceptable one to me. So all in all, I am actually pretty happy with how the whole thing turned out. To be honest, when I first saw it, when I woke up in the morning, I'm like, oh my god, they actually nerfed this thing, and I'm like, I'm so angry. And then afterwards, I went to play test it on my own, and I'm like, hey, actually it's not that bad. You know what? This is actually okay. I'm actually okay with everything. So yeah, it's not that I'm completely against nerfing as opposed to what a lot of people like to think, but the nerfs have to be reasonable, and I think this is a reasonable nerf and a reasonable change. Okay, some people who didn't like the Fey Wanderer taking away the nuking from Fey Wanderer also suggested it to have a toggle between damage mode and healing mode. So you toggle it to do damage mode, then obviously you still keep the nuke. And you toggle it to healing mode, then obviously it still keeps the healing. You know what? Personally, I think this is a good idea only if they don't touch the numbers any further. If they touch the numbers any further, I'm gonna be mad, okay? So if they want to keep everything and just add on the damage mode, then hey, both hands are up here. Fully support that decision, okay? But of course, this is entirely up to the staff if they want to add a toggle to the item or not. Now that you've seen all of the showcase here, I am going to go ahead and show you guys some free items, okay, like Seeing Red and the Jania, Jania's Orb of Power, as well as the Paladin one. Maybe I'll do Vampire as well. So yeah, I'll showcase some of the free items here. So I'm just going to do a very simple test against Combat Practice Trainer. Of course, you guys feel free to go ahead and test this out against, higher level stuff if you want to. So first things first, Vampire Snarl skill. Okay, so this is actually a buff because you now know whether or not the skill inflicts before you end off your turn. So if it doesn't inflict, then you want to look for other sources of damage reduction. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so Panic DC 125.5, outgoing damage 0.643, and then if we do it again, oh wait, only usable once per turn. Oops. Is that how it works, or is it once per battle? My god, I can't remember. Yes, let's do it again. 0.643. Now we have a second line, also 0.643, 2 instances this time. Okay, so total now it's reducing it by 0.413. Okay, so 0.413, yeah, definitely stacking a little worse than what it used to be. Now your 3 instances, 0.266. So yeah, buff to this skill, not bad. If you're playing Vampire or some form of hybrid, then this is definitely good for you. Next up, let's go ahead and test out Genia's Orb of Power. I consider this free because it's from a common gift box. But of course, not everyone is going to agree with that. That is totally fine. Mana Overload, okay, emulates Panic, 52.4%. So it's times 0.524 sort of like Panic. Let's do that again. Let's look at the stack. Oh, okay. So this one, the stacking looks a bit different. Let's do the third one. Yeah, okay, so it just emulates Panic, but you can see here, it doesn't tell me the total because this is renamed to a different status. So yeah, if the name is not directly called Panic, then it's renamed to a different status. Brady also mentioned that this, as well as the Seeing Red spell, they can now work on their respective elements monsters. So in the past, according to him, Seeing Red didn't work on fire monsters and Genia's Orb didn't work on energy monsters, but now it does. Okay, I have no way of confirming this because I honestly cannot remember the last time I used these spells, and on top of that, the info subs also doesn't mention anything, but he does use them quite a lot, so I do believe him. Let's go ahead and check out Seeing Red right now. Okay, and this is from the Spell Scroll quest. Let's see, 53.9, so this is slightly worse than your Genia's Orb of Power. But of course, Genia's Orb of Power, you need a golden gift box. This one doesn't, you don't need it. So yeah, this one also mana overload. I think they stack the same as the Genia's Orb of Power. So okay, Genia's Orb of Power is just very slightly better if you know you have a common gift box to spare and you want to play Panic. Next up, let's go ahead and check out the, what do you call that? Paladin, yeah, Paladin, Champion Holy Armor. Let's do Searing Radiance. Where in the world is it? Searing Radiance. Can I even do that? Inspiring Radiance. Wait, what? No, I think this is the wrong one. Oops. Splendence. Searing Radiance. Oh, infuse the light of your spirit onto your body, giving weapon attacks a chance to cause light element burns, 98 SP, make your foe flee in panic, 98 SP, or both. So let's do, I think she means Radiant. Searing Radiance, right? Yeah, that's what she meant. Okay, Radiant. Okay, so let's attack. Panic. Okay, 0.857. And this is based off the new one, so you can see now it stacks up like that. So total is 0.735. Now total is 0.63. Now it's 0.54. The SP cost for this skill is very, very low. So it's just a little bonus on top of your regular attack if you want to use it. Overall, this is okay if you want that little bit of Panic, but I wouldn't really use it to stack anything crazy high. I don't know what role that uses. Could be strength role, and I don't have strength right now, so I do apologize if that's strength role and I'm not using it optimally. Actually, let me just test this out because I don't know what stat it uses. Strength. Let's boost strength. I think it should be strength, right? Okay, Champion Holy Armor. Let's do, okay, Radiant. Does it boost it? 0.857. No, it looks like it's still the same. Okay, yeah, it's not based off a stat, I think. Or at least not based off the strength stat. Alright, next up, let's go ahead and do the next testing. See what we have. Let me think. I'm trying to recall what else is there. Armor, no. Okay, weapons. Yeah, weapons. Tenebrophage. Okay, so this one is a Panic Eater, I think. It's a Panic Eater. Is that the last one here? Let me see. Okay, Tenebrophage. Let's attack. So regularly, it just buffs your strength and intellect, I think. No? Okay, or do you need to eat a Panic for it to buff that? Let's do Seeing Red. So one turn of Seeing Red. Now we... is it clickable? No. Oh, okay. So it's automatic. Gives you strength and intellect. So 75.5 for 5 rounds. Wow. That is pretty crazy. Oh my god. Wow, I think this definitely got a buff or something. Yeah, that is insane, dude. Holy crap. Yeah, guys, that's insane. Okay, let me do Jania's Orb this time. And let me try and eat it. Let's see how much this can stack. 77. Okay, doesn't stack very well. 10 rounds now. Okay, let's do Jania's Orb again. So it just increases the duration. Okay, now 14 turns. Oh, wow. Okay. I wonder how high this can go, honestly. There's a cap, right? Yeah, there's a cap. So it's not like I can stack like 100 turns of panic and then, you know, eat everything at once. So yeah, it's capped. But still, I think this is decent for, you know, hybrid builds. Very, very good for sure. Not weak by any means. And then next up, let me see. Items. Nope. Let me see if I'm missing anything. I usually forget stuff. Let me check. Go through everything. I think that should be all. Right? Vampire already went through that. So even for the free-to-play items, okay, I didn't go through every single one, but for most of them, I think they are still pretty good, even after the change to Panic. That is why, all in all, I feel that I am okay with this small nerf to Panic, okay? So yeah, those are my thoughts on Panic. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. Do you think this is a buff? Do you think this is a nerf? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Or are you in general just neutral about the whole change? Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to this channel if you guys would like to see more of such future content. Till the next time, I'm your host, Korriban Gaming. Peace out.